Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of The Other Side. John, our show is dedicated to the makers. As I was telling you before I started recording, the makers is the people who keep the wheels turning behind the scenes. You were a musician before you were a lawyer.
Yes,
How did that artist spirit help you navigate the cold legal side of the music business?
that's a great question. Being an artist and having been a successful one, I had issues with getting paid sometimes, and I was always the member of the band who went after the people that owed us money, and I liked it. I was successful. We got paid, some good results I wrote about in the book, and I felt like there could be a career in being an advocate for artists and in making sure they're treated fair. It took me a while, but I got there.
Awesome. Okay, before we dive into your book, The Crazy Lucky, going off of that answer to that question, let me just tell our audience a little bit for those that don't know about The Other Side. It is a show I did a while back and I wanted to start it back, and John was kind of the catapult for me to start this show back. I was going back and forth whether I wanted to start The Other Side back. It's, as I said just a little bit, it's dedicated to the makers, the architects, so to speak, in the music industry. Anyone that is behind the scenes of the front man, the artist, the front lady, the lawyers, the band members, the crew members, anyone behind the scenes that you may see or that you may not see that is very helpful and responsible in getting that artist to the concerts that you go and see. It takes a village, so to speak, to get these artists out to the concert venues for you to go and see, or to the bars that you go out and see. You've heard the saying, it takes a village to raise children. It takes a village to raise an artist up. And even once the artist is up and performing, it still takes that same village, as I'm sure you're aware, John, to keep them where they're at and to keep their careers going even further. And John's going to delve into a good bit of that today as he tells us about his book, The Crazy Lucky. But I wanted to start The Other Side back so we could pull the curtain back and share with you guys a lot of the behind the scenes world of those makers, those architects, the people behind the scenes that you don't normally hear from. So as we go throughout the rest of 2026, I hope to have a lot of those guests on that y'all are going to get to meet and hear from and dive into those journeys of the makers of the industry. So we're going to kick that off today with John. I couldn't be more happy to have him on. So I'm thankful to Scott for bringing you to us, John. So we're going to dive right back in and we're going to talk about your book, The Crazy Lucky, and describe your role as more of a confidant than a lawyer. When you're sitting across from a legend who is struggling, do you see yourself as an attorney first or as a fellow maker trying to protect a gift from the world?
I think of myself and always have as an insider, as a counsel in both ways, counsel as a lawyer and a counsel as a counselor, a family member. And in our business, the part you're talking about, the other side, there are managers and agents who perform other roles in guiding the artist. The people you mentioned in the band and the crew,
Yes.
it's more like an army than a village. There's so
Yes.
many, but my role has been one-on-one with my artist clients, and certainly there have been some managers in there and some agents in there. But the part of what my career has been that I love was being as close as I've been with the artists. And I wrote about the ones from Roy Orbison to Olivia Newton-John that I really, really felt a part of their family.
Yeah. And several mentions. You mentioned Olivia Newton-John. She's one of my favorite all-time artists. And I see in the background there, you've got some Grease memorabilia.
hmm
You've been friends with her for 40 plus years. Am I remembering that correctly?
We were able to spend 50 years together from 73 to 23. And of course, I still work with the family. Um,
A great
in
loss
in
there.
the lifetime. Yeah, Olivia's daughter Chloe just turned 40, and I had already been with her mom 10 years before Chloe came along. Chloe's counting on me like her mom to be a guide
Yeah.
in the Olivia business and in the Olivia universe. It's a worldwide universe of people that just loved her and everything she stood for.
Absolutely. I can remember, I'm giving my age away, and that's fine. I've gotten to the point where I don't mind. But I can remember when Grease came out, and I was awestruck. Not in the typical like starstruck, awestruck, but in just captivated by her. Did you find that a lot with in meeting people that knew her and were friends with her? Just because I feel like she was just that genuine and not starstruck, just awestruck because she was just so genuine.
Well, that is really true with 50 years that we worked together in families and all that. She gave so much to her friends and family, and I have posted notes that Olivia wrote me by hand, thanking me for remembering her birthday and a Christmas gift, a Christmas card. She was delightful, and everything that anyone ever saw and thought about Olivia that was good was true.
The human side that a lot
Yeah.
of people don't get to see of people in the industry. I
So
love that.
you saw that behind me. One of my most fun days was going to the set of Grease the day they shot that. You're the one that I want.
Yes.
Amazing, really, really fun, and that was always with Olivia. Of course, there's stories in the book that weren't so fun for her, like the meetings at MCA Universal. Overall, it was a blast. You know, even physical, which I talk about the song.
Yeah.
And when we were talking about Olivia, and then we can do anything else, but she recorded that song, Have to Believe We Are Magic. She was magic.
Yeah. So many good songs, so many good movies, just so much goodness just exuded out of her. That's why I felt like she was just a genuinely good, down to earth person. I felt that. I never met her, unfortunately, never saw her live, but I just, that was one that I just kind of felt like what you saw is what you got.
That's true. And from
Uh,
the very beginning, and we're going back to you're the one that I want. If you love me, let me know, let me be there. She got what I do day one when we met in 1973, and she never did a TV show, even the Tonight Show kind of thing, without running the contract by me. So that part of what you were talking about, the role that a lawyer who gets to have that relationship with a client plays, goes everywhere: TV, music, film, personal appearances, jet leasing, touring. My gosh, I'm backing you up, Stacy. There's a lot behind the scenes that
yeah.
fall into the lawyer's lap.
Oh, yes, definitely. A lot. So much, again, so much that we as fans just have no idea that goes on. And the lawyer is just another aspect of it that so many people probably don't think about until you're just in the thick of things. So we're quite thankful for you. More into the inside world of Crazy Lucky, the human cost of it. We talk about the grind behind the glamour. Speaking of Olivia, the glamour. But your book shows that fame doesn't exempt a person from pain. Sometimes it even amplifies it. From your perspective in the wings, what is the human cost of the industry that the average fan never sees?
Personal life,
Mm,
successful artists. I guess I'd have to go to Taylor Swift, right, who's not my client, but you get a lot of her personal time with her fiance.
yeah,
But overall, she's working 365 days a year. She's got a big staff of people working for her full time. The cost socially is here she is in her 30s and she finally met a guy and she's going to experience family. That's really, really difficult. And it's probably most difficult if you're a recognizable personality, a recognizable celebrity, just to go out and have a normal life.
yeah,
One of my very long time clients here in Nashville, Mark Miller, who's Sawyer Brown, was talking with his daughter last week about how Mark has managed to personally remain so anonymous he can go out in public and people don't mob him. But
Hmm.
the other side of the coin, if you're a Luke Combs or a Randy Travis, you have a unique look and you look like that,
Yeah.
or Chris Stapleton or Post Malone. There's no way you're going to be able to go out in public and have a normal life
Right.
with Olivia and some of the other Priscilla Presley, some of the beautiful women I've worked with. I always make them face with their back to the room because otherwise we would never have a meeting and never have a lunch because everybody feels so comfortable knowing who they are to come
Right.
over. We try try to avoid that. Never had that happen with Mark Miller with Sawyer Brown. So it's hard. It's hard to be anonymous.
Yes, and it's kind of a two-sided coin, sadly, because like in the beginning, I feel like they want that fame, they want that recognition.
Right.
And then once they get it, there's a sense of regret. Like, I didn't realize this is everything I was signing up for.
I'm always saying when I talk about the book, be careful what you wish for,
Right,
because that part that we're talking about isn't really something you expect. And if you think that it might happen, you still don't know how unnerving it is to not be able to go to a market and
right,
not be mobbed by people.
right.
Not to
Yeah.
mention the security aspect today, which is really scary. Talk about that a little in the book too, the stalkers and just easier with the internet than it ever was 20 years ago and 40 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is sad. I mean, I hate it for these people that they can't just enjoy something so simple as going to the market or, enjoying going to a ball game for Taylor, going to watch, Kelsey play ball or, him going to a concert or just going to the park with your kid, just something that simple is very sad that they can't. And then people are so quick to say, well, you knew what you were signing up for.
Oh, don't
That's
think
not a
so.
fair statement.
Especially with the tragedies that you've read about in my book, the Gloria Stefan bus accident and the Roy Orbison wife in a car crash with, I mean, a motorcycle and the kids burned. There's so many parts of a complicated life that aren't seeming normal because we don't live that life. We're not flying around. I just behind me now is Rick Nelson. So it just his he was a client, his sons are clients. The plane crash led to painful life for the family and all those rumors of what happened. And he was freebasing, but he wasn't because I read the NTSB report.
Hmm.
It's unfathomable the pressure put on people who are celebrities. In fact, you've known that many have quit over that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and speaking of the tragedies, this kind of brings me into my next question that I've had. You've, as we've already said, you've known some very, very high profile people. I'm going to blow their last name. Menendez family. Probably everybody knows that name.
Yes.
And the incident that happened, I say incident, the murder that happened there. You were actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you were friends with their parents and
Well,
had
the
dinner with them a
parents,
week before the
yeah,
murder
yeah,
happened?
yeah, yeah. Jose was my client and close friend, spent a lot of time, and many times my wife Bianca and I had dinner over there. Just, we lived
Wow.
in Lake Tahoe in 1989 when they were murdered, and we came down, they invited us to dinner, and their sons came in from wherever they were at a movie or a party or something. And of course, I not only wouldn't have thought that could happen, I didn't believe it for a year. And those guys were calling and asking for favors. And I'd say, well, your dad always wanted me to do anything I could do, help you get into UCLA college, whatever.
Wow.
It's disturbing. And I put it in the middle of the book because it is unnerving to have had that experience. And of course, now we've had that experience in a different way with Rob and Michelle Reiner, that
Yes.
a troubled son took their lives, and it's for friends and other family, it's unfathomable. But in Jose's case, because he was in a company that had some sort of previous life in porn business, people started saying, "Well, we got murdered by the mafia, and they shot him in the knees," and too much detail there, Stacy. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's all interesting stories, I have to say, and crazy lucky. When I did the audiobook, I was reading it, and sometimes I have trouble.
That
telling
must
the
have been hard to
story, even though I'd already written it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've seen people, obviously, at their highest highs and their tragic lows, including your proximity to the Mendez family. What has been like your last line of defense for people in crisis about human resilience and you yourself? Like, how do you manage that?
Well, it's a social network in a sense, and I know one of the gifts that I've been blessed with in my life, putting aside the whole entertainment business, is to have 7 kids and 10 grandchildren. So I can't get out of my comfort level, because as soon as we get off the phone, one of my grandchildren's going to call. My wife's going to call from Germany, and I try with clients in crisis to bring friends and family around, more so family even than friends, because with my experiences, there are plenty of greedy family members as well as greedy friends, but you generally have grown up with your family and they know you well.
Right.
My relationship with my clients was that, to know them personally, know them well, and they know, and they've always known, they can call if they're in a crisis, and I will be there to talk.
That is so important. Family is everything. And I love that you said 7 kids, 10
10 grand.
grandchildren.
Yep.
I love that. I've got 5 kids, 13 grandkids on the way. So
Wow.
we're close. Yes. I
Yeah.
love that because that's everything. Without your very close friends and family, the world would be an even tougher place. So yes, that's my sanctuary as well. So I totally get that. Yes.
I'm going to
You
add, Stacy, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just
no, yes.
thinking about dinner tonight. Part of, for me, getting away from the stress parts of the business is having friends that are primarily not in the entertainment business. So the guy that actually got me to write the book is a heart surgeon, and I'm having dinner with him tonight. But I would go over there for dinner and talk about stories and have a tequila, and then he kept saying, "You got to write a book, man. You really need to write a book." And I said, I'm not a book, but if you like the stories and other people like the stories, I'd like to tell some of those stories. I'd like people to
Yes.
know what this process is like from the celebrity's point of view, because you
Hmm.
certainly can get that with Shakira coming up from Colombia and wanting to learn English, and
Yeah.
the way the parents were in charge to Reba, who's a phenomenon, right? I mean, how does
Yes.
Reba live every day? I'm trying to say she is exactly what you see, but she's
Hmm.
a whirlwind, a powerhouse. And I want people to know what it's really like to be those people and to be with
Yes.
them all the time.
Yes. Yeah. I love that you brought up Shakira and Reba, two more of my favorites. And I love that you represent a broad spectrum of musical genres.
Yes.
Like you could represent my Spotify list.
Yeah, probably do.
Yeah, I have that broad spectrum as well of genres, even though I primarily do country music on this show. I love a broad range of genres. I listen to Shakira. I love and still do Olivia. I love Reba. So, yeah, and Ozzy and gospel music and everything in between. That's all me. So, yeah, and I love reading about and hearing Shakira's story. And of course, I'm fascinated by Reba's story. So I love that you include those in your book. I think there's way more people than me that are interested in those as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, one of my favorite story, but stories and people, is Gloria Stefan. When I'm talking about when I met them, and their office was in their mother's garage with no air conditioning in there in Miami.
yeah. Oh, that's hot.
Emilio's brothers, the accountant, and people at Gloria's sister stuffing mail to back to right back to fans. Really amazing people, and of course Gloria was and is one of the greatest writers and entertainers in the history of music, and yet that's another genre, right? That Latin pop that Gloria, and then she's done so many songs in Spanish. I would say literally that I wouldn't have had the chance to have that broad range of people if I grew up in Nashville. Not taking anything away from Nashville, it's my home.
Yeah.
But my international practice, the Cat Stevens and ABBA and Gloria, really came from being in the center of a creative universe that was bigger worldwide.
You just mentioned another one, ABBA. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
taking me back to the set.
they're up there behind me. Well, I can't move the camera. Yeah. ABBA was another crazy lucky gift for me, just to be in the right place at the right time. And wow, what happened was
Yeah.
absolutely stunning. And I didn't write about ABBA because when I was talking about people, the four members of ABBA, I got to have dinner with in Stockholm and see them every day on tour. But the guy that ran the business was their manager, Stig Anderson, and he had the publishing and the label. And he and I went around the world and did territory deals. This is long before the European Union and all of the restrictions we have today. What a blast it was to work with them.
And this may be a really simple Google search that I could have already done and just haven't, but how did ABBA's name come about? Do you know?
I do, but I can't remember. It's pretty logical. Oh, it's their names.
Is it I was going to say, is it based on their names?
Yeah, it's Bjorn and Benny. So it's Agneta, Bjorn, Benny, and Annifrid. Those are
Okay.
the ABBA.
Okay, well that makes perfect sense. As soon as I asked you that, I was like, I wonder if it's based on their names.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know about the backwards B's in the middle. That was just something they thought was cool.
Well, yeah, definitely a cool logo. Definitely. And man, that's awesome.
You know, we got to go back for a minute, Stacy, because
Yeah.
when I started working with them, they were two married couples. And
Uh-huh.
within 5 or 6 years, and it's in the documentary about them that's on HBO, there were two divorced couples. And there was a lot of strain. When I was watching the HBO documentary last year, that
I'm going to have to go watch that.
the especially for Agneta, when she and Bjorn got divorced, which was first, it became really, really hard for them to be together and perform together. And all the things that troubled her in the marriage related to what they had to do as entertainers. They couldn't, what you and I were talking about, they couldn't have a normal life, and she wanted that.
Yeah.
So be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Sadly, and you've probably seen quite a few, especially being a lawyer, quite a few divorces in the industry.
Too many. It
Sadly.
is by the way, that is an industry. My oldest daughter is a family law lawyer in Boston, and I keep telling her that's the gift that keeps on giving, because
Yeah.
there's no end of people who shouldn't be married, who shouldn't have gotten married, and who can't stand each other. And it's very hard in entertainment, especially people that work together, like the couples in ABBA. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah. I mean, that's because I think in the music industry, it's so easy for two people to get together. I mean, we've seen so many instances of that,
Yeah.
Faith and Tim, Garth and Trisha, on and on and on and on. And then there's so many cases of divorces in the industry.
Yeah, it's when you mention Faith and Tim and Garth and Trisha, my thought is they got married when they were already established and knew what their career was, and they got to make good. Vince Gill too, and Amy Grant. They
Yes.
they they love each other, and they found a way to just accommodate each other's idiosyncrasies and careers. Yeah, they're unique and inspirational.
Very much so. Very much so. That's more that I love. Is there any more artists that you have represented that you don't have mentioned in your book that you want to share about with us?
There are, I mean, not exaggerating, hundreds of
I
people
can imagine.
that. No, just mentioning one because it came to my mind in one minute. Well, Aaron Tippin, who was is just super. I didn't write about Conway Twitty, but I mentioned Conway a lot because Conway was the one that introduced me to Randy Travis and a lot of others. There's just a lot of really great people that I couldn't write about everybody.
Right.
I would have loved to write about Conway. Conway was
Yes.
unbelievably talented and gifted as a human, just somebody that I love to hang out with.
Yes. Man, I'm so jealous.
I
Maybe
know it's
I need
crazy.
to become a music lawyer.
Not that usual to have those relationships.
Oh, that's so neat. But I mean, it's not all glitz and glamour for you either, just like it's not for the artists themselves. What is a time, I mean, well, we've already talked about sometimes it's been hard on you. But is there a time that just really stands out in your mind that you're like, I wish I was doing something else besides this. It's just too hard.
No,
No.
I love what I do.
Love it.
Invented it in my mind in the sense that in the early 60s, I wasn't even aware that you could be a lawyer in the entertainment business, and I set out to find a path in it. So,
Hmm.
no, every day has been super blessing. I wake up every day literally thanking God that I get to do this every day, and I still feel it. I'm still doing it. You know, all that's
Awesome.
around me, you're not seeing on my desk is files and stuff. It's great.
Awesome. I love
This
it.
new artist I'm representing is Sophie Smith's son, who came to me from Mark Miller. Sawyer Brown is equal to Gloria, Donna, everybody that I've talked about is a talent, and she just turned 19. It's exciting. I was putting that in the context. No, I don't have a moment that I regret doing this or making this up and or doing it now. Here I'm turning 80 this year, and I'm still doing it
No way.
basically full time. Yeah.
Well, you wear it well. I never would have guessed it.
Well, thank you. It's been,
That's
anyway, I've been a
amazing.
lawyer for 55 years already.
That is
Isn't it
amazing,
crazy?
John.
It is. Yeah,
I
and I
love
love it.
that.
I love every day.
You know, there's not a lot of people that can say they have done what they've done for 55 years and still love it as much today as they did when they started.
I would wish that for everybody.
Yeah.
And yet I know there's also people who don't like what they do and they just can't wait to be let out of the cage and run free. And
Yeah.
I'm staying in this cage. You're looking at it.
Well, I love it. Well, you know, our brand has a pillar called Healing Through Harmony. And you've played a massive role of Brian Wilson's life and career.
Yes.
When an artist is broken, how does fixing the business side of their life help restore the creative spirit?
Great question. Great question again, Stacey. You know, in Brian's case, I had met Brian quite a few times when they were starting out and they were young. And when Brian came to me to be his lawyer, he was broken beyond belief. And part of all of Brian's problems, besides taking drugs and besides having mental issues, was he lost everything. His father stole his business. His father smacked him in the ear. He didn't own the songs at that point. They didn't own the records. And he was trying to find a life. And this stability part of me being a dad of so many people. And, you know, we've talked about all the uh, female artists that I've worked with. I have
Hmm.
the same bond with male artists, with Roy Orbison, with Brian Wilson, with Michael Jackson in that time to be able to communicate. Brian, long story, but Brian got back all we got back for him, all his songs, the masters, and until he passed, his family now still own his share of Beach Boys, and Mike Love and other members of the family have sold their shares, but they're still out there, and the music is going to last forever.
Awesome. Awesome. That is one thing that I know that the family is so thankful for.
Yes. And I was just going to say to you, so for example, Frankie Valli's been my client forever. He's 92.
Wow.
And yet we still have every that cocoon that we built around Frankie is there,
Hmm.
and Bob Gaudio, his partner. And I think for them and for Brian, thinking of their families is really important to them, and it's really important for me.
Yes.
I was talking to Olivia Newton-John's daughter today. You know, it's her mom's legacy is something that she and I are working together to protect.
Yes. Very important. So, so important. Yeah. For those that have already gone on, like you said, the legacy is so important to protect for the ones that are still here.
Right.
And the work that you do for that is so important and so appreciated.
Well, it is. I believe that, and I'm saying that to people like Frankie, who's 92. I mean, you know, we're not going to have a conversation. She's Frankie, your life expectancy at 92 is like mine, it'd be an 80. The doctor last week, I had a physical, and he's like, well, we usually tell people your age they shouldn't do these tests anymore because life expectancy is shorter than the benefit of the test. But for you, some of us are blessed with health, but our families need to be part of the plan.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly. Well, this has been our first episode of The Other Side Back since 2022. This book is all about the road in between the dream and the reality. Looking at your legacy, what is the one thing that you want the next generation of unseen heroes to take away from your story?
Never give up. If you believe it, you can do it. It takes enormous tenacity and enormous talent. And those two, when you get that lucky break, will make you crazy lucky.
Yes, I love that. Where is the best place for our listeners to find Crazy Lucky and follow your journey?
Well, I think all the audiobook stores, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I love the audio, but I love the book. I wrote it as a book, not to do the audio. But when I was able to record the audio in August of last year, I fell in love with the sound of it. And Priscilla Presley, who wrote the foreword to the book, went in the studio and she recorded the foreword. And she's a beautiful, unique voice. So yeah, I'd say go online and order a copy. You can order the hard copy from Amazon also. For bookstores in America, I've been to many. Usually a bookstore will buy maybe 100 copies or whatever they think they can sell, and then they don't reorder it unless people come in and order it. And it's just so much easier to push a button and get it delivered to your house.
Yes.
Not taken away from them. I have several Barnes and Nobles events coming up in February, and they've been good friends for me. Yeah, they have their own barnesandnoble.com too.
Awesome. All right. So you have book signings at Barnes & Noble coming up?
Yes.
Awesome. Are you coming to North Carolina by chance?
No, but it would be great to come. I love North Carolina, particularly Asheville. I'm a big fan of Asheville.
Yeah, I'm not far from Asheville, and I'm not far from Charlotte. I'm like right in the middle of Asheville.
Yeah. Beautiful place.
Yeah. All right. I would love that. Well, John, they say the road never ends. It just changes shape. So thank you for being the one to help us kick the dust off the tires here on the other side. For everyone listening, if you want to understand the grit and the grace for how it takes to survive the music industry, you just have to pick up a copy of Crazy Lucky. It's more than a law book. It's a book about loyalty. And John just told you where you can find it all. So make sure that you go pick up a copy of that. Don't just order it from Amazon. Actually go to Barnes & Noble and pick up a copy.
Great. That would be awesome.
Look it up and see if you can find where he's going to be at and go out there. Thank you guys for listening. Keep supporting independent artists and the crews and the architects behind the scene. Keep the music playing. Remember to be kind to each other and keep it country. I'm Stacey Jowers, and I'll see y'all next time. John, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Bye.
Bye-bye.